What if I told you that perfection is the greatest lie you've ever been sold? What if I told you that the endless chase for flawless results has been silently stealing your dreams, your confidence, and your future? The truth is, this perfection is a prison. Progress is freedom. And today, I want you to choose freedom. Because life doesn't demand perfection. It demands movement. It demands courage. It demands that you show up again and again, even when it's messy, even when it's imperfect, even when the world is watching. That's where real transformation begins. Perfection is a trap disguised as a dream. It promises you acceptance, admiration, and success if only you could meet its impossible standard. But the truth is, no one has ever touched perfection. No one. Not the icons you admire, not the legends you follow, not even the people you secretly compare yourself to. The more you chase it, the further it runs. It is a finish line that keeps moving, a shadow you'll never catch. And yet, millions of people waste their entire lives trying to polish themselves into something flawless, when the real power is in daring to move forward, even when things are messy, unfinished, or uncertain. Think about it. Every breakthrough that changed the world came from imperfection. The light bulb wasn't created on the first try. Airplanes didn't soar perfectly on their maiden flight. Even the greatest art, the most celebrated performances, the most admired inventions, all of them were born from trial, error, adjustment, and progress. But here's what happens when you worship perfection: you never start. You hesitate. You doubt. You hide your gifts because they don't look ready. And in that hesitation, dreams slowly suffocate. The lie of perfection convinces you that you need more preparation, more polish, more time. But time doesn't wait. Life doesn't wait. And while you're waiting, someone else is moving. What perfection really does is paralyze you. It freezes your potential under the weight of impossible expectations. You say, I'll write that book when I'm better. You say, I'll launch that business when everything is flawless. You say, I'll take that risk when I'm fully ready. But let me ask you, when will you ever be fully ready? When will conditions ever be flawless? The answer is never. And that's the point. You're not supposed to wait until everything is perfect. You're supposed to begin in the middle of the storm, in the chaos, in the uncertainty. Because that's where growth lives. That's where greatness is built. And here's the truth you need to understand: perfection isn't even real. It's an illusion crafted by comparison, fueled by insecurity, and magnified by a world that only shows you highlight reels. You see flawless images on social media, polished speeches, glamorous success stories, and you think that's reality. But what you're really seeing is editing, filtering, and curating. Behind every perfect picture is a mess. Behind every perfect performance is 1,000 failed attempts. Behind every perfect story is someone who struggled, stumbled, and fell 100 times. The difference is they kept going. They didn't stop for perfection. They moved forward with progress. The people who rise to greatness are not the ones who chase flawless execution. They're the ones who dare to be seen unfinished. They're the ones who risk criticism, rejection, and judgment because they know progress is worth more than appearances. They know that imperfect action is still greater than perfect hesitation. They understand that waiting for perfection is really just fear in disguise. And while fear holds others hostage, they move anyway. They take messy steps. They learn in public. They grow out loud. And eventually, the world applauds the courage it once criticized. So ask yourself right now, how much of your life have you left unlived? because you were waiting for perfection? How many chances have you buried because you didn't want to be judged? How many times have you held yourself back because you thought it wasn't good enough yet? That's the cost of chasing an illusion. That's the weight of carrying perfection on your shoulders. It doesn't just slow you down, it stops you completely. And if you keep waiting for flawless, you will never move, you will never grow, and you will never know what you are truly capable of. Confidence is not born from waiting until everything looks perfect. Confidence is built in the trenches of action. It is not a gift you wake up with one morning. It is earned, piece by piece, through the courage to move forward when you don't have all the answers. The moment you take action, whether it's shaky, clumsy, or incomplete, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you can start. You prove that you can push past the fear that once held you back. And in that proof, confidence begins to take root. It doesn't matter if the step is small, it matters that the step is real. Every time you choose action over hesitation, your belief in yourself grows stronger. The problem is, too many people are waiting for confidence to magically appear before they take a step. They say, "I'll speak when I feel ready. I'll try when I feel confident." But that day never comes, because confidence doesn't appear in the silence of waiting. It appears in the motion of doing. You don't become confident by thinking about running. You become confident by running. You don't become confident by imagining success. You become confident by chasing it, fumbling for it, working through it. The mistake is believing confidence is a requirement for action, when in truth, action is the requirement for confidence. Every small victory you create builds momentum. Think about the first time you tried something new. It probably wasn't perfect. Maybe it was awkward. Maybe it was uncomfortable. But once you did it, you realized it didn't break you. You realized you could survive the discomfort. That realization is where confidence is born. And with every repeat, with every imperfect attempt, you stack proof upon proof that you can handle it. Those little wins add up. They compound. They form the backbone of unshakable self-belief. It's not the giant leaps that create lasting confidence. It's the accumulation of small steps that no one else sees. And here's the part most people don't understand. Confidence is not about knowing the outcome. It's about trusting yourself enough to handle whatever outcome comes. The world tells you to plan, to control, to predict every variable before moving. But that's not confidence. That's fear wearing a mask. Real confidence is walking into the unknown and saying, "I may not know what's coming, but I know I can face it." That kind of confidence can only be earned in the arena of progress, where you test yourself, stretch yourself, and allow yourself to learn through experience. Without those imperfect experiences, confidence can never exist. The difference between people who succeed and people who stall isn't talent. It's their relationship with action. Those who move forward even when they feel unprepared discover a secret: action generates evidence, and evidence creates confidence. It's like building muscle. You don't become strong by reading about lifting weights. You become strong by lifting them, by tearing the muscle fibers, by letting them rebuild stronger. Confidence is the same. It must be exercised, stressed, and strengthened through repeated progress. Without that, it remains weak, fragile, and untested. And fragile confidence shatters at the first sign of struggle. So if you want to become unshakable, stop asking, "How do I feel more confident?" and start asking, "What action can I take today to prove myself to myself?" Because every time you choose movement, you're casting a vote for your own power. Every step forward, no matter how small, becomes fuel for your confidence. And the day will come when you look back and realize that what once terrified you is now second nature. That's the magic of progress. It doesn't just move you forward, it transforms who you believe yourself to be. And that transformation is the very definition of confidence. The world has conditioned you to believe mistakes are proof of failure. From the time you were a child, you were told that errors meant you weren't good enough, that failing was shameful, that messing up meant you should sit down, stay quiet, and stop trying. But that conditioning is a lie. Mistakes are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence of effort. They are signs that you are in motion, that you are daring to step into territory where growth actually happens. The people who make mistakes are the ones in the arena, while the ones who never stumble are usually standing still. Progress will always demand mistakes, because progress means you're doing something new, something different, something that stretches you beyond your comfort zone. Think of every mistake as a hidden instructor. Each one carries a lesson wrapped in temporary discomfort. You fall, you analyze, you adjust, and you rise stronger. That process, falling, analyzing, adjusting, rising, is the very foundation of growth. Without mistakes, there is no feedback. Without feedback, there is no improvement. And without improvement, there is no success. The truth is, the only people who avoid mistakes are those who play it safe, who never stretch, who never dare. They may look polished on the surface, but inside, they're stagnant. Mistakes, on the other hand, are proof that you're alive, engaged, and evolving. They are proof that you're chasing something that matters. The greatest innovators, the boldest leaders, the most admired trailblazers, they all stumbled. They all faced failure. They all endured setbacks. The difference is, they didn't treat mistakes as final verdicts. They treated them as chapters in their journey. Thomas Edison famously said, he didn't fail 1,000 times when creating the light bulb. He simply discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. Every so-called mistake was a teacher, guiding him closer to the answer. Imagine if he had stopped at mistake number 10. Imagine if he had let shame silence him. The world would still be in the dark. That's the power of embracing mistakes. They move you forward, even when they don't look like progress in the moment. And yet, most people run from mistakes like they're poison. They hide them, bury them, deny them, because they're afraid of judgment, afraid of what people will say, afraid of being seen as less than perfect. But let me tell you this, the ones who mark your mistakes are not ahead of you. They are behind you, because they're too scared to try. They are critics sitting in the stands, pointing fingers at those who dare to step into the game. The truth is, their opinion doesn't define you. What defines you is whether you have the courage to learn, adapt, and move again. Mistakes don't break you. Quitting does. When you begin to see mistakes as teachers, you strip them of their power to shame you. You realize every slip, every wrong turn, every failure is shaping you into someone sharper, wiser, and stronger than before. You start to see patterns, understand weaknesses, and discover strengths you didn't even know you had. You stop beating yourself up and start asking better questions. What did this teach me? How can I adjust? What will I do differently next time? That shift from self-criticism to self-discovery is where mastery begins. The champions of every field are not the ones who avoided mistakes. They're the ones who studied them until the lesson became fuel. And here's the ultimate truth. Mistakes are not obstacles, they're accelerators. They speed up your growth. They fast track your resilience. They sharpen your instincts. Every mistake you survive becomes proof that you can endure, adapt, and rise again. That proof builds mental toughness. That toughness makes you fearless. And fearlessness makes you unstoppable. The next time you stumble, don't shrink back. Lean in. Listen to what the mistake is teaching you. Because hidden inside the failure you fear is the wisdom you need to rise higher than you ever imagined. Perfection has become the silent killer of dreams. It doesn't scream. It doesn't attack. It whispers. It whispers that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that your work isn't worth sharing until it looks flawless. And that whisper becomes a chain that stops you from writing the book, from starting the business, from speaking your truth, from showing your talent. Perfection convinces you that you need one more draft, one more rehearsal, one more year. But the truth is, while you're polishing and preparing, your dream is suffocating. Opportunity has an expiration date, and perfection makes sure you miss it. How many people walk around carrying ideas they never release? Songs trapped in notebooks, businesses trapped in plans, stories trapped in their minds. They're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect version, the perfect conditions. But perfection has no finish line, so they keep waiting. Months turn to years. Dreams turn to regrets. The saddest part, their idea didn't fail because it was weak. It failed because it was silenced. Perfection convinced them not to try, and that silence is far more destructive than any mistake or failure could ever be. When you let perfection dictate your choices, you live half a life. You never risk. You never stretch. You never put yourself in a position to truly grow. And deep down, you know it. You feel the weight of unrealized potential pressing on your chest. You see others who are no more talented than you stepping into the spotlight, making progress, creating impact. And you wonder, why not me? The answer isn't that they're better. The answer is that they refuse to let perfection control them. They released their work, messy and all. They dared to be seen unfinished. And that's why they're moving forward while you're standing still. The obsession with perfection is really an obsession with control. It's the illusion that if you prepare enough, polish enough, wait long enough, you can eliminate every risk of failure, rejection, or judgment. But you can't. No matter how perfect you try to be, someone will still criticize. Someone will still find a flaw. And the longer you wait to release your work, the more power you give to those critics. You don't need control, you need courage. You don't need flawless execution, you need movement. Because the truth is, imperfect action still beats perfect inaction every single time. Every dreamer has a choice: wait for perfect and lose the moment, or choose progress and step into possibility. One path leaves you safe, silent, and stagnant. The other path opens doors you never imagined. The irony is, the people who chase progress end up achieving more, growing faster, and becoming stronger than those who wait for flawless. Their work may start rough, their steps may look awkward, but with every release, every attempt, every imperfect version, they refine, they evolve, they build momentum. And momentum will always outperform perfection. The cost of chasing perfect is your potential. The cost of waiting for flawless is your future. You don't need perfect conditions to start. You need a pulse. You don't need approval to begin. You need decision. The dream that's been burning inside you doesn't need to be flawless, it needs to be alive. Because the world doesn't need another perfect plan buried in silence. The world needs your progress, your voice, your effort, exactly as it is, right now. Transformation is never born from a single, dramatic moment. It's built in the quiet, consistent choices that no one sees. One workout won't sculpt your body. One healthy meal won't change your health. One bold move won't rewrite your life. Transformation is the result of progress stacked on progress, step after step, day after day. The problem is, most people want instant change. They want the grand reveal, the before and after miracle, the overnight success story. But transformation doesn't work that way. It demands consistency, not perfection. It demands that you show up again and again, even when the results are invisible. Because while perfection promises everything at once and delivers nothing, progress delivers piece by piece until suddenly you're unrecognizable from who you used to be. Think about how a mountain is climbed. It's not one leap to the top. It's thousands of small, deliberate steps. Each step feels insignificant in the moment. Just another rock, just another incline, just another stretch of path. But over time, those steps add up to altitude, and that altitude changes everything. Progress is the same. You don't always see the difference today, or even tomorrow, but 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, you look back and realize you're standing on a peak you once thought was impossible. That's the miracle of transformation. It sneaks up on you while you're busy putting in the work. The reason so many people give up is they underestimate the power of small progress. They think if it's not dramatic, it's not worth it. If the results aren't immediate, it must not be working. But progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. A seed planted in the soil doesn't show results the next day, but roots are forming, growth is happening beneath the surface. The same is true for you. Every small action, every repeated choice, every imperfect step is building something powerful beneath the surface of your life. And when it breaks through, it will feel sudden to everyone else. But you'll know it was progress all along. What makes progress so transformative is not just the external results. It's who you become in the process. Every time you commit, every time you show up, every time you choose discipline over excuses, you're reshaping your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who trays and start seeing yourself as someone who does. You stop telling yourself, maybe one day, and start living in the reality of today. That shift in identity is the true transformation. Because once you believe you are capable of progress, you stop sabotaging yourself with doubt. You become unstoppable. Not because you never fail, but because you never stop moving forward. And here's the beauty: progress compounds. The small win today makes tomorrow easier. The lesson learned this week saves you from a bigger mistake next week. The discipline you build this month gives you the strength to take on bigger challenges next month. Progress multiplies. And before long, you're not just moving forward. You're accelerating. That acceleration is what creates breakthroughs. It's what turns a timid beginner into a master. It's what transforms an ordinary person into someone extraordinary. Not because they were flawless, not because they were perfect, but because they had the courage to keep stacking progress, no matter how small. Transformation is not about waiting for the stars to align. It's about aligning your actions with who you want to become. It's about choosing progress over comfort, consistency over excuses, growth over stagnation. The magic doesn't happen in the moments when you feel perfect. It happens in the moments when you keep going despite being imperfect. That is where transformation is born. That is where lives are rewritten. That is where you discover that progress isn't just a path forward. It is the power that reshapes everything. People don't connect to perfection. They connect to progress. They don't see themselves in the flawless, untouchable image of someone who never stumbles. They see themselves in the person who struggles, who tries, who fails, who rises, and who keeps moving forward. That raw humanity is what inspires others. Because when you show your journey, when you allow the world to witness your imperfect climb, you give people something they desperately need: proof that they can climb too. Progress becomes contagious. One step you take echoes into the steps of others, sparking movements far greater than anything perfection could ever create. Think about the people who have inspired you the most. Was it their perfection that moved you, or their persistence? Was it their flawless record, or their willingness to fall and rise again? What makes someone unforgettable is not that they never failed. It's that they failed publicly and still pressed forward. That's what moves people. That's what touches hearts. Perfection may impress for a moment, but progress leaves a mark that lasts. Because when people see you fight through obstacles, when they see you keep going despite setbacks, they don't just admire you, they believe in themselves a little more. The truth is, progress creates relatability. Perfection creates distance. When someone seems flawless, they feel untouchable, out of reach. But when you show the messy reality of growth, when you let people witness your setbacks and your comebacks, they see themselves in you. They think, if they can, maybe I can too. That thought, that shift in belief, is the spark of transformation. It's what turns bystanders into participants, doubters into believers, dreamers into doers. And all of it begins with progress. Not polished success, not perfect execution, just the courage to move forward in full view of the world. What many people don't realize is that their progress has ripple effects they may never see. The person who watches you commit to your health may be inspired to change their own. The person who sees you share your work, even when it isn't perfect, may finally find the courage to release theirs. The person who hears your story of failing forward may finally believe that their own failures don't define them. Progress doesn't just transform you, it silently gives others permission to transform themselves. Your steps light the path for someone else who is stumbling in the dark. And here's the paradox: the very thing you're most afraid to show, the awkward first attempt, the visible failure, the imperfect result, is often the exact thing that inspires someone else the most. People aren't looking for flawless heroes. They're looking for proof that growth is possible. They don't need your perfection, they need your persistence. They don't need you to always win, they need you to never quit. Because that example is stronger than any speech, stronger than any promise, stronger than any perfectly curated image. It is real, it is raw, it is progress. And progress has the power to move people in ways perfection never can. When you live with progress as your focus, you stop living only for yourself. You start carrying the responsibility of showing others what's possible. Your courage to move forward becomes their courage. Your resilience becomes their hope. Your determination becomes their roadmap. And without even realizing it, your journey begins to lift others, inspire others, and transform others. That is the legacy of progress. It outlives you, it spreads beyond you. It multiplies through every person who witnesses your growth. Perfection dies in silence, but progress echoes forever. So here's the truth you cannot ignore. Perfection has been holding you hostage, but progress has been waiting to set you free. Every step forward, no matter how small, no matter how messy, holds more power than a lifetime of waiting for flawless. Progress builds your confidence. Progress teaches you through mistakes. Progress destroys the lie of perfection and breathes life into your potential. Progress transforms you, and progress inspires everyone who dares to watch you rise. The question is not whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing. Willing to take the first imperfect step. Willing to show up when you don't have it all figured out. Willing to risk judgment, failure, and discomfort for the sake of becoming who you were meant to be. Because life does not reward the one who waits. It rewards the one who moves. You don't need perfect. You don't need flawless. You don't need permission. You need courage. Courage to act. Courage to stumble. Courage to rise again and again. That's where freedom lives. That's where transformation begins. That's where legends are born. So stop chasing the illusion. Stop letting perfection rob you of the life you deserve. Choose progress. Choose movement. Choose to step forward today, exactly as you are. Because the world doesn't need another perfect image.